All right, guys, this is Northball Central coming back at you with another YouTube video. And this time of the recording, I have about 2,120 subscribers so far. So I really appreciate all the love and support you have shown on my YouTube channel so far. It's been an amazing accomplishment and blessing so far to continue to share what I love through Florida State football and other Florida State activities, especially in the off season when it's a little bit more quiet. But I really appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get straight into the video today. I'm going to be talking about, can Florida State be able to generate an 8-0 record in the 2023 season in the state of Florida. We are playing a bunch of pivotal games, especially when we have 6 home games. We'll go ahead and go over the home slate real quick. We have Southern Miss in Tallahassee, the first actual home game on September 9th. And then you turn around and you have a couple of weeks before you play again, and you play Virginia Tech against a Brent Pry team that is very talented. And I think they can be something to worry about if you're not focused, because it is the week after the bye week of Clemson. And then you look at Duke, the unseasoned crab legs, Syracuse as well. You got Miami. We'll see how that goes. You got North Alabama. And so, I mean, there's a couple of games there where you're like, man, Florida State's got a really, really good chance in some of these games. And then you also got LSU. You're playing in Orlando. Going to be a quite anticipated game there. And then you also have Florida. You're playing them at the Swamp. So when you're looking at those games and you're kind of looking down the list a little bit, you're seeing, okay, we have 8 games in the state of Florida. Can we be able to generate some pressure? And I think that LSU game is going to be kind of the standard that you're going to hold in terms of winning in the state of Florida and being able to answer that question. Are you going to be able to win 8 games this season in the state of Florida? I think that's where it's going to start and where it's going to finish, basically. Malik Neighbors has got arrested recently. We're going to see how that process plays out. I don't really think there's going to be much to that so far, but he was a pivotal part in the Florida State game last year where he muffed a couple of punts and was able to get Florida State back into consideration of winning that ball game. I think he fumbled 2 in that game, so he didn't really do much on the receiving end as well. And then Boutte is actually a guy that went to the NFL draft, and he's going to be in the NFL now at this point. So LSU's going to have to play some pieces. Now you're going to have to worry about Jaden Daniels. I think they did a really good job last year with Kalen DeLoach and being able to spy him and being able to generate that defensive pressure on him as well later in the game. But they're going to have to do a lot more of that going into this season. Then you got a team like Southern Miss, who I think is pretty much optimistic, but they are going to be losing a little bit of pieces there. But we'll see how they kind of generate to run the football efficiently there. Brent Pry with Virginia Tech, I wonder how they're going to kind of factor into a lot of different pieces there. Syracuse with Sean Tucker being gone, I wonder what's going to happen there. And can the Blue Devils be able to do something after they kind of had a really resurrection of seasons in terms of the football standard there at the program? I wonder what's going to happen with that. Are they going to be too much of a high at that point? Because, I mean, Florida State's going to be playing them in their 7th game of the season. Will they be able to taper off, or will it not to be that much of a big deal there? You also got Miami. We're going to see how Cristobal kind of handles this next season, but they've got a lot of coaches leaving after this past season. We're going to see how that talent in the recruiting field has kind of paid off for them, if it has or if it hasn't. North Alabama, you're kind of looking for a warm-up game against Florida at that point. And then the state of Florida, like I said, we're playing them at the Swamp and in terms of that in Gainesville. And I think that could be a game where you could look at that and say, okay, where is Florida going to be at this time of the season? And when you have Grant Mertz at quarterback, you really just don't know. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. But I think if you win that LSU game, I think everything else just takes care of itself. I think Florida State generates a lot of momentum for itself, because even if they lose to Clemson, they probably have a mulligan in terms of being able to still make it to the ACC championship at that point, and then also being able to win that ACC championship and potentially get to where they want to get to, and that's a playoff berth. But everything kind of starts off with LSU, and I think it finishes with Florida. I think that's 2 important games that you have to go there. Through there, you can't count out Miami, of course, after their 5-7 season. We'll see how that plays. Duke's going to be a little bit more dangerous of a team as well. But I mean, you have to play at Clemson, so that's going to be pretty tough as a road environment. You play at Boston College, you play at Wake Forest. It's later in the year, so that does help you a little bit there. And then you play at Pitt, which is going to be a hostile environment early in November when it's colder weather. So we're going to have to figure out what Florida State is. But man, if they start off winning that LSU game and it kind of goes through the schedule, and let's just say you even go 3-1 in that first 4-game stretch in September, I think that could be a really, really pivotal key in what Florida State wants to do offensively and defensively, and trying to build that momentum and confidence as we go through the rest of the schedule for the end of the season. But I really appreciate all the love and support as always. Be sure to get season tickets this season because I know it's going to be an amazing time in Tallahassee. I know the games aren't going to be super, super special, but man, when you get Miami going to Doak Campbell Stadium, amazing things happen. Hopefully, we see another blowout. Hopefully, we see the Duke Blue Devils be a little bit more competitive this season. We have not lost to the Duke Blue Devils. Let's knock on wood, and hopefully that does not happen as well. But I really appreciate all the love and support as always on my social media platforms as well. I've linked those to the bottom of the ticker right there, and you can be able to click on those and be able to follow me on those social media accounts as well. But I really appreciate it as always, and go Knowles.